welcome to another amazing installment of your math lessons on video. So for today we're going to be doing Chapter 2, Lesson 5, and we're going to be comparing ordering fractions, decimals, and percents. Let's start with fractions now. You'll notice that the learning objective is here. I will compare and order fractions, decimals, and percents. And that you need to make sure that when you're comparing fractions, the denominators match. This is not when you kind of estimate a fraction to 0, a half, or 1, and then kind of see which is greater. This is different. This is for looking at the denominators and then seeing from the numerator, based off that, which of the fractions is greater or less. All right, we're going to start. So, the steps to ordering fractions is first that we're going to find the lowest common denominator, or what we know as the LCD for short. And I have my first example here. I don't know if you can zoom in or walk a little bit closer, but it's 5/8, and I'm comparing it to 7/12. Are you following? So, first thing right off the bat that I notice is the denominators do not match. So I'm going to compare apples to apples. So if I'm trying to see which fraction is greater, I want to make sure the denominators match. That way, all I do is look at the numerator, and I can tell easily which of the fractions are greater. So here, I'm going to find the LCD first. Are you following? So the LCD, you could do it one of two ways. You can make trees. You could list the multiples for 8 and 12. So, and then that's the way you can do it. A lot of the kids like to do the LCD. Remember how we did this before? We broke this down. We did 4 times 2. We got a prime. Then we did 2 times 2. We have primes there. Then we did 6 times 2. And 3 times 2. Then we want to make sure we got all of our primes, the ones that are represented. Remember, you have to put one of each to represent, right? So here I have 2, and I have a 2 here, so I have a pair of 2's. And then I have a 2 here and another 2 here. And then I have a 3 here represented. And I also have this other 2, where am I here? The 3 is represented by here. And then you have the 2 that is represented from down there as well. So I have my matches. I wrote that down. My match, I wrote it down. The scraggly 3 I wrote down, and the scraggly 2 I wrote down. So now I do 2 times 4, and 4 times 3 is 12, and 12 times 2 is 24. You following? Some of you guys could just look at them and go, I know what it is, it's 24, right? You don't have to go through this laborious process to find the LCD. If you can look at it and go, it's 24. Now what I don't want you guys to do is to multiply these two, because that's a big denominator. And then you have to work with bigger numbers, and that's not fun. So what you want to do is find the LCD. Either you know it because you see it and you know mentally it's 24, or you do the whole LCD. Does that make sense? Notice with the LCD, I did my matches and I wrote that. I matched and I wrote that. And then there was these scragglers here just hanging out, no match. I still brought them down, right? Yes?
Couldn't the lowest common factor be 4? Because 12 goes into 4.
Well, the only thing is I can't, 12 times nothing gives me 4. You're trying to convert these, right? LCDs. So now my step 2 says convert old fractions into new fractions using my LCD. My LCD is going to be 24. Voila, right here. 12 times 2 gives me 24. And I do the same thing to the numerator. You following? Yeah. 7 times 2 is 14. 8 times 3 gives me 24. Do the same thing to the numerator, and I get 15. Now comparing these apples to apples, 24, 24, all I have to do is look at the numerator, and I can tell which is greater, and 5/8, because there's 15, 24, is greater. So I put my inequality symbol, eating the bigger one, and I'm good to go. Okay, let me try, that's with the fractions. Let me try comparing a fraction with a decimal. I need you guys really focused over here. I'm going to compare a fraction with a decimal. Come back here. Eyes up here. What if they give you a fraction and they give you a decimal? So for instance, they gave you 3/4. I need to focus. They gave you 0.7. But you're like, wait a minute. One's a decimal, one's a fraction. Yes. But I can change them both to be fractions, or I can change them both to be what? Sometimes kids will go, I love decimals. I don't want to work with fractions. I know that this is 75%, let's just say, right? This one, I can change it, boom, boom, to a percent. I move it 2 times the lesson we learned yesterday, right? Well, now I know that 3/4 is greater. Let's say, well, I don't want to do decimals. I don't want to do percents. I just want to work with fractions. This is 3/4. This is 7/10. So I'm going to make this into a fraction. I'm going to bring this guy down here to compare. Then I can do the same thing like I did. Oh, what's the LCD going to be here for 4 and 10 without me making all the trees? What would it be? 40? Well, that's not going to be the LCD. There's a lower one. Max? 20. 3/4, I can make the denominator equal 20. 4 times what gives me 20? 5. Do the same thing to the top. 10 times what gives me 20?
2.
Okay, there it is. 3/4 is greater than 7/10, as we already learned. A lot of kids like to make them into fractions. A lot of kids go, no, I love decimals. They're way easier. I'll just change 3/4 to 75, or 0.75, and this is 0.7, and I can compare them. Now again, if this is 0.75, and this is 0.7, they both are the exact same value in the tenth spot, but if I add a 0 here just to make sure I can compare these, 5 is greater than 0. 3/4 is greater. That's actually the whole lesson. We're going to sign off, and we're going to try some of these in guided practice. Bye! Happy Friday!